Today's video is a little bit different than what I've done in the past. As you know, I weave hospice blankets for a local charity, and the local charity happened to get a request from the Legion for 10,000 knitted or crocheted poppies for this coming Remembrance Day. Now this is, you know, we're just approaching summer, so it gives us a lot of time to do that. So I have never crocheted, well, that's not true. I've tried to crochet in my life. I've taken lessons, and it's not something that sticks in my head easily. I'm a knitter. I can put down my knitting. I can pick up my knitting, you know, 6 months later, a year later, and I have no issues with it. Crocheting, I can learn it, and if I put it down, I can't remember what I did the next day. So I literally just came back from our monthly meeting, and I am making this video so that I can remind myself of exactly what it is that I learned, so that I can go back to it and do a poppy. Now, unfortunately, because I was so slow at learning, I only got through about half of the poppy. So the second half I will be muddling through on my own to hopefully figure out what it is that I'm doing. So follow along, and hopefully everything kind of goes tickety-boo. Okay, so I've rewritten the original instructions because, again, I'm a knitter. I am not a crocheter, so I needed to familiarize myself with the abbreviation, because I know what, like, K is knit and P is purl, but I didn't know the ones obviously for crocheting. So you've got the abbreviations. DC is double chain, SC is single chain, SL is slip stitch, and then you've got YO, which is yarn over, which is the same for knitting. I also wrote out instructions for myself to make a double chain, to make a single stitch, to join a new yarn, and to make a slip stitch, basically. Okay. Again, if you already know how to crochet, this is kind of, you know, useless information for you. But again, for myself, you know, if I put this down and I want to come back at some point in the future, I need to know what the heck I'm doing. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through as I go through and do these, because these are the skills that you're going to need in order to be able to do the poppy. What do you need for the poppy? You need red yarn, you need black yarn, a lot more red yarn obviously than black yarn. And again, even then, it's not a lot of red yarn to begin with. I'm using 5mm crochet hook, and I mentioned to have a square jar with some chocolate to fill it, so that when you've had enough, you can eat the chocolate and walk away. Again, if you're good at crocheting, that will not be an issue for you, but that, you know, I screwed up. So I made a video yesterday of how to do this, and my poppy ended up looking like a clover. So I'm like, I screwed up somewhere. I don't know where, so I'm doing another video because I must have, you know, missed a stitch or missed a few stitches somewhere that it just didn't work out. So I'm going to try it again. Okay? All right. So I'm going to use basically 2 colors of yarn that are not the correct color, because on the video dark colors are very difficult to see stitches and things like that. So I'm going to use yellow for the center, so pretend this is black, and then I will use orange for what should be in the red, basically. Okay? Alright, so the first thing basically it says is that you need to do a slip knot. So the first thing I want to do is I need to leave a 10-inch tail, okay, and if it's longer, then you can cut it later. The reason we're leaving a 10-inch tail in this particular scenario is because we need to attach it to some sort of art installation, so we need something obviously to attach with. So we're going to leave the tail. To make a slip stitch, I'm just going to wrap it around my 2 fingers. I'm going to take this yarn here, there's a cross basically, I'm going to take this yarn, put it through, make a little loop as it comes through. How do I know that I've made a slip stitch? Is that should be able to come out just very easily. Okay, so let's measure our 10, do our this, put it through, okay, and then we're going to put our hook in. Now the thing you want to be careful of is that this obviously is the tail. I don't want to be crocheting with the tail. I've done it before. It's really frustrating because you got to undo your work. Okay, I find that this tail, for whatever reason, gets in my way, so I'm going to just kind of tie it, okay, and see if I can sort of just, okay, so just to kind of tie it out of the way so it's not in my way. Okay, all right, and hopefully this doesn't start to all tangle because it's getting to the end of its, there we go, let's see here. Okay, so it says basically make a slip knot with a 10-inch tail and chain 2 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to chain 2 stitches. So I'm going to do yarn over. When you're doing your yarn over, you want to make sure that the yarn is in front. okay? And you're going to pull through, so obviously you would hook the yarn there, pull it through, that's your first stitch. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to do yarn over, I'm going to pull it through, and that's my second stitch. Now how do I know that? You can see here you've got 2 stitches, all right? There we go. Okay, so you got stitch number 1, you got stitch number 2, all right? Now the instructions state that you're going to do 12 double chain stitches starting from the second hole from the hook. So basically I don't want the top stitch up here, I want to start with this hole here, and you're going to be using that hole going all the way around to do this magic circle, okay? So basically we're going to go from this star to this star. So the yarn, so what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over the hook, enter the second chain, pull the yarn through, and then you're going to have 3 loops on it. So let's do that. Okay, so we're going to do basically yarn over. Okay, I'm going to go into the second one here. All right, and when you do the yarn over, make sure that it's behind the work, otherwise it's going to cause you problems. Okay, so you're going to put your into the hole there. All right, I'm going to yarn over again just so that I can bring that yarn through that stitch that I just went through. So now you've got 3 loops on there. Okay, so now what you want to do, okay, is that we need to do the double chain. So we're going to do yarn over, we're going to go through 1 loop, we're going to yarn over again, we're going to go through 2 loops, we're going to yarn over for the 3rd time and go through the 2 loops, and that basically makes my double chain. Okay. All right, so Neelix is there. I gotta watch him. He loves to run away with my yarn. Okay, so basically I need to do a second one in this same hole. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my yarn over again. All right, I'm gonna go through the second hole. All right, yarn over and pull it through that hole so that I can get my 3 loops. All right, now I'm gonna do my yarn over, pull it through 1. Oh. Yarn over, pull it through 2, yarn over and pull it through 2. So now I've got 2 of them right there. Okay, so as you can see there, we've got basically the 2 double chains in that first hole, okay? And so basically I need to do a total of 12 double chains. I've got to do this like another 5 times. So let's do it one more time just to show you, okay? All right, so I'm going to do my yarn over, forward, hold it to the back. I'm going to go through, remember this original hole that I did, okay? Go through here. I'm going to yarn over again, which is not so easy, okay? And pull it, okay? And pull it through, all right? So it comes through. So now you get your three hoops, okay? 3 loops. So I'm going to yarn over again, pull it through the first loop, yarn over, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull it through 3 loops. Okay? So now, let's do it. Okay? Again. So we're going to do yarn over. I'm going to go back. I got to find that hole. So right here. If it's going to be a problem for you to find this hole, use a stitch marker or something so you can remember which hole it is, because that's the biggest problem I find with crochet is figuring out which hole you're supposed to put your hook through. All right, so I'm going to put it through here. I'm going to yarn over so that I can carry it through that center loop center hole. Okay, so I've pulled it through. All right, now I've got my 3 loops there. Okay, so again I'm going to do the same thing. Make sure you're not using your tail. All right. Pull it through the first loop, the first 2 loops, and the 3rd time again the 2 loops. Okay? So I'm going to keep doing this until I have 12. So right now I have 4. Okay? I'm going to come back once I've got 12, and it's going to start looking obviously more and more like a circle, and this will become more and more obvious as time goes on, this hole right here. Okay? One thing I forgot to point out is that there is a wrong side and a right side to it as you go along. So when you look at it, and I've taken a picture to give you a bit of a better close-up of it, is that when you look at your stitches, you should have V's, okay? Like even in knitting, you've got V's, which will show you the correct side. The V's will be pointed downwards. On the other side, that will not be the case. And if so, basically you're trying to find the side where your V's are obviously going downwards, okay? Because the problem is that, let's say I put this down, I walk away, I come back, and then I start it, and I'm starting it on, let's say, the wrong side. Let's say I started on this side. You're going to see that there's something screwed up in the pattern. It's not looking the way it's supposed to. So you want to make sure, and again, if you're going to forget, I mean, easily use a stitch marker on the side that's the correct side until you get more, proficient as you go along, okay? All right, so let me do my 12, and then I will come back. Okay, so I've done a bunch. I don't know if I've got 12, so the question is, how do you count? Okay, because you may want to put it down and walk away and then come back. You'll notice that on the side, the stitches, you've got like a whole bunch of stitches, and each of these stitches has basically 2 legs to it. And that's going to become important later on, those 2 legs for each stitch, okay? You're going to notice, now again, it could be because I'm in the process of doing it. This is the tail that's kind of in the way. But it looks like it's not as long on this side, it's a bit longer on that side. Again, I just started learning to crochet yesterday, so I am still learning. Hopefully if you guys are better at, you've crocheted longer, you obviously have better tension. So you do want to make sure. I would, if you have not crocheted before, I would do a bunch of these with some waste yarn, get comfortable with it before you start actually doing the actual color, okay? Which is basically what I'm doing right now, all right? So how do I count the amount that I've got? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my loop so I can take off my hook without fear of losing my stitch. And then I'm going to count because they're all attached to the center circle here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I only have to do one more. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. Okay, so let's do the final one. Okay. All right, so the final one there basically is I'm going to do my yarn over, hold it towards the back, go through the center, yarn over so that I can hook this yarn through that center circle, get my 3 loops, okay, yarn over, pull it through the first loop, yarn over, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over, pull it through the last 2 loops, okay? So now the next step is what we want to do is we need to join this together so I can start doing like the second round of it. So the question is, how do we do that? So let's go back to our instructions here. So it says, okay, so we've done step 1, which is make our magic circle. Okay, and this magic circle comes in handy, I guess, for all different kind of things, I guess flowers and so forth. All right, so now let's go on to, all right, the next instruction says, once you've finished the 12 double stitches, you will join the first stitch using a slip stitch. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go through the legs of the first stitch. I'm going to yarn over and pull it right through the 2 loops. Okay? So none of this 1, 2, 3 nonsense. Okay? So I'm going to find the 2 legs. Here's the 2 legs right here. Okay? And you can see them. All right? You should be able to, hopefully, all right, see the 2 legs right there. All right? And then basically I'm going to go through those. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to take a picture and maybe give you guys a close-up. Okay. So basically I'm going to take that. All right. I'm going to go through the legs of the first stitch. So I'm going to do that. All right. And you're always going from front to back. So let me just take a look here. Leg 1, leg 2. Okay. Then I'm going to yarn over, because I want to pull it through all of this stuff here. So the 2 legs that I just went through, but I also want to pull, I also want to pull it through the loop that was there. Okay? So now I have my proper circle. All right? And I can carry on with my next level there. All right? So in step 2, I need to switch to the red. So what I needed to do at the end of this one here is once I've pulled it through, okay, I've got to fasten off, but I've got to leave a 10-inch tail. So this is, you're going to have 4 tails at the end of it. 2 of the first color, 2 of the second color. So this is my first 10-inch tail. Let me take my scissors. Give me a sec. All right, I'm going to cut my second 10-inch tail there. All right, and then what I'm going to do basically is, hold on, where did I have it here? There we go. All right, I'm going to take this yarn and pull it through the loop that I've got, so that I can kind of knot it. So it's going to come through here, pull it right through, boom, it's secured. Okay, so that's the first two tails right there. All right, so what I might do to get it out of my way is that I might end up, hold on, how do I do this here? Let's see here. Okay, like that. Don't make too much of a knot that you're going to have a fun time trying to take it out later, okay? All right, I'm just going to do that so it gets out of my way so it's not constantly getting tangled up or I'm not using it. Now I need to switch basically to my second yarn color. That second yarn color obviously is going to be, okay, it's just there. Okay, the second yarn color basically should be basically red, but I'm going to use orange, okay? So hopefully the colors are easier to see. I don't know, I don't find that it's any easier to see whether it's dark or not, but we will see, okay? Okay, so now we need to join this, all right, where the previous tail was. So my previous tail, okay, so you're looking at, if you look at the top of the chains, you've got my, your two legs of each of these chains all the way along. You can pick any of these. It is preferable though, let's say for example, I did not need a tail and I wanted to weave this in. So when you knit, for example, you're changing yarns, you've got a tail, you can weave that, tail into the next few stitches to secure it and then move on, so you're not having to go back at the end, take a sewing needle and then put it into your work so that it's not visible, okay? So if you wanted to do that, and I'm not going to do that here, but if you wanted to do that, you want to pick basically any stitch but to the right of this. Okay, and so whenever you did your yarn over, you would include the tail in the yarn over in the first few stitches just to secure it, and then obviously you would just kind of let it go, and then later on you could snip it and it would be secured. Okay, but again, we're not going to do that. All right, so basically we want to join the yarn. Okay, so we're going to pick, all right, let's see what it says here. Pull the hook through the two-leg stitch that you wish to use. Okay, so I'm just gonna find my two legs here. Okay, so let me let's do these two here. Ooh, there's one. Let's do this one here. There we go. I'm doing this a little bit tighter than I did yesterday because I found it quite loose, my tension, but maybe I should keep doing it loose just to get it through. So there's my two legs there on there, okay? So join the red yarn on top of the black chain. To do so, the previous chain, use the tail with the live yarn for a few stitches to secure. Okay, so pull the hook through. I'm going to take this, all right? I'm going to leave my 10-inch tail again. I'm going to do my yarn over, all right? I'm going to pull it through the two legs. Now I've got my loop. Okay, I'm going to have to hang on to this until I do a few of these because otherwise it's going to loosen. Okay. Now again, I don't want it to crochet with this. Oh, what happened here? Chocolate. Okay. I don't want to obviously knit with the tail here. All right, so then it says basically I need to chain 3 stitches. That's going to count as my first double stitch as I'm going around here. All right, so let me find the correct one. So I'm going to hold on to the tail so it does not interfere for now. Okay, all right. Okay, so to do a chain stitch, yarn over, pull it through, that's the first one. Yarn over, pull it through, that's the second one. Okay, yarn over, pull it through, that's the third one. All right, okay, so now I want to double chain in the same hole, all right, as this one here, so you can see the hole that it's going through. I want to double chain through that, all right, just what we did before. All right, so give me a sec here. So we're going to go through, yarn over, go through the hole, yarn over so we can pull it through those two legs. So we got our 3 hoops, okay? Yarn over, pull it through in the first loop, yarn over, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over for the third time, which is the 2 loops. So now I've got my first 2 double stitches, all right? So you're going to make 12 sets of these. So 2 of this was in this hole. So I'm going to do the exact same thing in the next stitch with the 2 legs. Do 2 in that, and then keep going 2, 2, 2 all the way around. So I should have a total of 24 at the end. Okay? So let me go through, let me do a whole bunch of them, and then we'll come back and finish it off for the second round. Okay? Okay, so I've done my 12. Okay, 12 sets of 2 in each of these holes. Okay, so you can see that there's 2. So I've got 12 sets of that. So now I've got to join these again. So I've got to make another slip stitch. So it says basically here to, where am I here? Once you're at the end, you will join with the first stitch using a slip stitch through the top of the 3 chain stitches. Remember when we first did it, we did 3 chain stitches. We want the top one this time because later on it'll be bottom, okay? But the top, so that we can start, you know, step 3, okay? So let us go through. I gotta find the 2 legs here. Here. Okay, so I'm gonna find, hold on, you got leg number 1, 2. There, okay. Then I'm going to yarn over, make sure you're not yarn over with the tail, yarn over with the actual yarn. And I'm going to pull it through both. Okay, 1 and 2. Okay. So now they are together. All right. So I can start the next one. All right, so now we want to do round 3. So we're going to do a single chain. So what you're going to put it through the 2 legs on the stitch to join. Okay, so do a single chain. No, like a single chain, we don't put it through the 2 legs. So a single chain would be just this, like that. Okay, there we go. So it's a single chain. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the 2 legs to make the 2 loops. On the hook, continue, pull through the 2 loops. Do a single chain stitch. No, make a single chain stitch. So hold on. No, I don't want that. So let's go back. Whoop. There we go. All right, single chain stitch. So we're gonna put it through the 2 legs. Okay, so the first 2 legs are here. There we go. All right, yarn over the hook. We're going to pull it through the 2 legs. All right, so now we have 2 loops on there, but we're going to continue to pull it through that final loop, so we've got 1 there. Okay, there we go. Something doesn't seem right to me somehow, but okay. All right. Now we're going to do 2 double chains into the next 4 stitches of the previous row. Okay, so this is where you may want to have a counter or something like that to make sure that you're doing what you need. So if I have to do 2 double chains into the next 4 stitches, that makes a total of 8 double chains, right? So 2 in each hole, basically, like we did in this previous round here. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come back and continue the next one. Okay, so I did basically my 4. Okay, so I've got 2 here, 2 there, 2 in that hole, and 2 in that hole. So I have 4 sets. Okay. So then it says basically the next one says that I need to do a single chain in the next, the 2 legs there, and the next one I need to only do a single chain. So basically I'm going to go through the 2 legs. Okay. I'm going to do a yarn over. I'm going to pull it through. All right. And so I not only pulled it through the 2 legs, but I'm pulling it through that loop. So I still only have 1 loop on there. Okay? Now I'm going to repeat. I'm going to do this 3 times. So I'm going to do another single chain in the next double chain again. I'm going to do 2 double chains in the next 4 stitches like I just did, and then do another single chain. Okay? And I want to do this a total of 3 times. So let's do the first set here. So let's do another single chain. So I'm going to go through the, hold on, where's the next set of legs here? So the next set of legs is here. I'm going to do my yarn over, pull it through the, pull it through the legs, pull it through that loop, so I have 1 loop, okay? And then I've got to do basically my 4 double chains, all right? So let's just do the first one for now, all right? So I'm going to do my yarn over, find the next 2 legs, do my yarn over, pull that yarn over through my 2 legs, get my 3 loops, go through 1 loop, go through 2 loops, and then for the 3rd time, go through that. I think my tension's getting tighter here. Okay, so I've done my first double chain. I got to do the second double chain in this hole, so I'm going to do my yarn over. I'm going to go through that first hole again, yarn over so I can pull it through, get my 3 loops again, and then I'm going to do my go through 1 loop, go through 2 loops, and the 3rd time go through 2 loops. Okay, so that's my first set of 4 there. Okay, so now I've got to do another 3 sets to get my 4, and then I'll do a single slip stitch chain. So let me do that, and then I'll come back to you guys. Okay, so I did the first set of repeats. As you can see here, let me pull out my loop a lot here. Okay, so basically we did, the first thing before we got to the repeat. Okay, you had the single chain stitch. We had the 4 sets. Okay, so 2 in each hole of that, and then you had a single chain stitch at the end. So this is 1 repeat. The reason I'm putting stitch markers is I don't know what I did yesterday, but when I continued on in step 3 and 4, at some point I screwed up something. So I just want to keep track. Okay, so this is going to be the first one, then I will move this over to do the second one, and so on and so forth. But generally speaking, you should be going around and getting to the end. It shouldn't be that difficult, but clearly I screwed up yesterday. So anyways, so now I'm going to go and do the 2 more repeats, and then I will come back and we will finish off so that we can get on to step 4. Okay? Okay, so I did my 3 repeats. So repeat number 1, repeat number 2, repeat number 3. So now I'm back to where I started from. Okay? The instruction says that basically I want to join with the first stitch that we started in the round right here. Okay, with a slip stitch into the bottom of the first chain stitch. You remember that we did a couple of chain stitches at the beginning here, so basically I want to do the bottom, so I'm going to go into here, okay, into that bottom stitch there, going to pull through the 2 legs, pull through this loop here, okay, and so now I'm ready to do the final row to go around. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out these stitch markers here, and then I'm going to go on to the final step. So a couple of things. I'm looking at this and I'm realizing a couple of, well, I don't know if it's a boo-boo or not. I contacted a friend who showed me this pattern here. So do you notice this hole there? Like, it doesn't look right to me. I did follow the instructions, and so if you recall back in step 2, right, we did our 12 sets of double chains to get our 24 around. And when we were finished it, we were supposed to connect it to the beginning, but we were using the top, all right, of the original 3 chain stitches, which is what I did, and it leaves this gap. So I'm not sure if I should have maybe attached it with the bottom one or maybe the middle one to not make that gap so obvious. I'm not sure. So I'm going to ask a friend and find out what the answer is to that. The other thing is of course, with step 4, so those of you who watched my previous videos, you know my eyes don't track well, and being dyslexic, I kind of sometimes misread instructions. So my instruction 4 was screwed up a little bit. So I need to repeat 3 times. What we need to do is I need to basically do 2 double chains in the next 8 stitches, not 4 like the previous step, so 8 stitches, okay, of the previous row, all right. Once I'm done that, I'm going to do a slip stitch between the 2 single stitches. So in the previous row, you had done 2 single stitches. So between that, you're going to do a slip stitch from that previous row. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do the first 8 stitches, do the double chains. I'm going to come back and show you what I mean about the slip stitch there, because we've got to repeat this 3 times to finish things off. The weird thing is, though, is I don't understand is that if we're only repeating this 3 times, how on earth, right, because there's 4 sides to it, I don't understand how on earth this is going to finish off and not end up with a clover again, right? So I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and check. Again, it could be a typo in the actual instructions, and maybe I'm following the instructions to the letter, which is why I've run into that. But I've got to go back and figure that out as well. Okay? Give me a second. Okay, I misread the instructions again as usual. So when I look at step 4, it says to do 2 double stitches in each of the next 8 double crochets, do a slip stitch between the 2 single stitches on the previous row. And then it says to repeat it another 3 times. So duh, when you put those together, it should be 4 repeats. So that's my boo-boo. So let's go back. So I'm going to repeat this 4 times. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so let me do the double chains and the 8 stitches, show you how to do the slip stitch, and then we do that 4 times till we get to the end. Okay, so give me a second, I'll come back after I've done that. Okay, so I did the first part of the repeat. Okay, so I did the 2 sets of double chains on the first 8 stitches. So I've got so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's a total of 16. All right. The next part says that I need to do a slip stitch between the 2 single stitches of the previous row. So if I look at the previous row here, okay, I've got a single stitch, right? Right. So basically I've got a single stitch here and here, and then here and here. So I've got 2 holes basically right there. All right. So it says slip stitch between the 2 single stitches. So that means basically I've got only, if you look at it, you only have 1 set of 2 legs anyways. So it's not difficult to figure that out. So what I'm going to do basically is let's get my loop back in. Okay. I'm going to do my slip stitch. Okay. So I'm going to put it through the 2 loops. Okay. There we go. I'm going to do my yarn over. I'm going to pull it through the 2 legs, pull it through this one here, okay, kind of cinch it closer there, all right, and then basically I'm going to repeat again the 2 sets, you know, in the next 8 stitches, and then do my slip stitch again. So I'm going to do that 4 times. So I've done basically 1 repeat. I am now going to basically, because the repeat is done, I'm going to hook on another stitch marker here so that I know that this is repeat 1, and keep doing that until I get to the 4th one there, and then I'll come back. Okay? Okay, so I finished the 4 repeats, so repeat 1, repeat 2, repeat 3, and then repeat 4. I did the slip stitch right there, and now basically I got to fasten it off. So I cut off my 10 inches basically of tail. I'm just going to hook it, bring it through the loop that I've got, and I fasten it, and it is done. Okay, so it's a fairly large poppy. They want all different sizes of poppies for the installation there, but so now again that I've done it, so you'll notice, I did notice one thing, is that this side looks like it's going to be the wrong side, right? It looks like this side for the inside of the black there looks a lot nicer. So this, to me in future, will be that whatever this side is a side that I should have all of these and be doing the correct side in case I ever forget and I turn it around, so it's easier to look. But I've got my 2 tails that are the first color, which would be the black when you do it correctly, and then my last 2 tails, which would be the red when I do it with the correct colors there. So I hope this helps, and you guys can do stuff for your own Remembrance Day celebrations, and have yourself a great day.